Hi travelers, welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time here, don't forget, hit the like button, but also subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos. I share resort videos, travel tips, and also travel deals that are very time sensitive, so make sure when you do subscribe to hit the notification button. Now, on my last video, I had a comment from someone that was asking me what is the best bang for buck, either Cuba or Mexico. Great question. It's a very popular destination for Canadians, especially in the winter time. So bang for buck, it's quite relative. So you can get some good deals to Cuba. Lowest price is coming out of the East Coast, out of Toronto typically, with direct flights. So granted, yes, there's some bang for buck there. Alternative to Cuba out of the East Coast would be possibly looking at the Mayan Riviera. That's typically where the prices come in the best for travelers out of that destination. Now again, coming out of the West Coast, I'm based in Vancouver, and a lot of times there's not even direct flights to Cuba. So right off the bat there, that is going to bring the price up a little bit. So sometimes Mexico can actually be a better deal for a all-inclusive vacation. Just something to keep an eye on is your flights and connections, okay? Now, another thing to be aware of with Cuba is the resorts are not going to be on the same level of Mexico. You have to have your expectations about a resort in Cuba before you go. In general, the room quality is not as good. The food, you're probably reading reviews online. Food at the resorts can be a little bit hit and miss depending on when you go. So what I recommend to obviously get your best bang for buck, don't go for the cheapest vacation to Cuba. You will regret it. You're better off spending a little bit more, getting a better quality resort, a better star rating resort. Make sure you really read the reviews and find a resort that you like that fits your budget. Now, in general, what I always kind of say is the best, you're only guaranteed in Cuba is a great beach. The beaches are wonderful there. Great long stretches of white sand beaches, beautiful water. It's just some of the hotels, especially on the lower end of the price spectrum, will leave a little bit to be desired. They're just a little bit older hotels, just to the nature of the country. Now, if you do go to Cuba, you want to make sure that you spend at least a day, possibly two, taking some tours and getting off the resort. So if you're staying in Veradero, make sure you do is book a tour and get down to Havana. It's an amazing destination. Food and hotel quality aside, it's a beautiful country. The people are very friendly, very friendly towards tourists, and very safe country as well to visit as a Canadian. Get down to Cuba, spend the day, go visit if you take a tour, you'll visit some of the old town, some of the new town. There's a seawall Malecon that you can visit. You can spend the entire day there. There's also the option, when I was there, we did the option of going to the Tropicana show, so this was like a whole day trip to visit Havana, and it will leave a really good impression. It's a really exciting, fun city to visit. Culturally, historically, it is worth it to get off the resort. So don't just, if it's your first time especially, don't just plunk yourself down on the beach for the week and come home and say, oh, Cuba was boring. But you have to get off the resort to really experience it. Take some tours, take some excursions, and you will have a blast in Cuba. And again, great prices, bang for buck. On this one is, if you're possibly planning any tours, is look ahead of time through the tour operator that you do book for, because a lot of times the tours can be booked ahead of time online, and you'll pay in Canadian dollars. So it works out typically cheaper to do it that way than in destination, when you have to use the Cuban convertible peso, which is based on US dollars. So for Canadians, sometimes it works better to book your excursions ahead of time. Something way to save some money, get a bit more bang for your buck in Cuba. Now, on the flip side, if Cuba is out, and if you're coming from a different province other than back east, getting direct flights, and you're possibly you want to go to Mexico, because the price is going to make sense. So in Mexico, if you're in the west coast of Canada, some of the best destinations to look at is Puerto Vallarta. Is typically priced quite competitively compared to some other areas. Over Cabo. Cabo is a popular west coast destination, but Cabo is basically the most expensive destination typically to visit from the west coast in Mexico. So check out Puerto Vallarta. If you're coming from some of the prairie provinces, some of the best bang for buck I'm seeing right now is visiting Huatulco. Some great resorts in there as well. Dreams Huatulco, family friendly, excellent resort. Usually is pricing quite good with direct flights in the wintertime from Canada. If you're looking for an adults only experience, the Secrets Huatuco is a gorgeous resort. I visited that one a couple years ago, and it is in a prime location in a beautiful bay. Views are stunning, food is great at the resort, excellent bang for buck compared to some of the other Mexico destinations from the West Coast, comparing it to Los Cabos or the Mine Riviera. All right, so there you have it. Hopefully that answers a few questions in terms of looking for your better bang for buck vacation over Cuba versus Mexico. Really, again, to summarize, it really depends when you're going and also where in Canada you are leaving from. So if you did have any questions, I will leave all my contact information down below. I'd be happy to look up some package prices for you no matter where you are in Canada and get you the best bang for buck deal, whether it is in Cuba or in Mexico. Thanks again for watching, and if you are not subscribed, make sure to subscribe to the video. If you liked this video and you found it useful, make sure you hit the like button. It really helps me out. And until my next video is up, you can check out these ones.